بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Monday, or it's already Tuesday night. Monday is the 6th of Safar, 1438, and the title is Sifat Salat al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the last thing that we talked about was the beautification of the recitation when the person recites. I would like to add to what we have been listening to a number of issues. Number one is to do with a narration which is in the book, and that is when the Prophet ﷺ had said, Allah did not listen to anything more than He had listened to a prophet who's got a beautiful voice singing the Quran. And another narration he said, Husnul Tarannum. I don't know what was the translation of that. This is before the hadith of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. This is before the last hadith, before the title to correct the Imam. Can you read for me so I can just make sure that...
It's on page 41. Allah does not listen to anything as He listens, in some version as He listening to a prophet with a nice voice, and in one version with a nice melody which who recites the Quran in a pleasant tone, loudly.
Pleasant, let me just read which one is the translation of the one that we want to... Yeah, I know. Alright. Worship with a nice melody. Okay, he recites the Quran in a pleasant tone. Pleasant tone, this is the word here, in a pleasant tone. That's the translation of... Okay. I just want to get my words working. The pleasant tone, it is shadda. Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah. Come on. Got it. Just my laptop is a bit slow. Right, this is shadda, meaning it's not authentic. With a pleasant tone is not authentic. Just that wording. And you'll find that in Silsila al-Da'ifa of Shaykh al-Albani 6640. The Shaykh there, he says, verily, it is not authentic, and I used to make it authentic in Sifat al-Salah because I was depending upon Al-Hafidh Ibn Hajar, so let it be taken away from that. So here, myself as well, I'll put that into my notes as Da'ifa 6640. We add as well, for verily the Prophet ﷺ, the hadith where it says, the one before that, لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ لَمْ يَتَغَنَّ بِالْقُرْآنِ, he's not from us, the one who does not recite the Quran with a melody. Yes? This hadith we said is from Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. But there's a narration I would like to add to it. This hadith was taken from Ibn Abi Mulayka. Ibn Abi Mulayka, he's from the era that follows. He was asked by the one who narrates from him, Ya Aba Muhammad, he was asked, what about if this person hasn't got a nice voice? It's a good addition. If the person hasn't got a nice voice, because we say here, he's not from us, the one who does not what? Recite the Quran without a melody. This person hasn't got a melody. His voice is not really good. His voice is bad, basically. So he says, يُحَسِّنُهُ مَسْتَطَعَ. And very good narration that we need to add, which is that to enhance it as much as he can. خلاص. That's acceptable. To get from that hadith, because some people, when you recite this hadith, لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَا لَمْ يَتَغَنَّ بِالْقُرْآنِ. It's not from us the one who does not recite the Quran without a melody. He says that I haven't got a melody because my voice is bad. So what should I do? And I've heard some people trying to, with my best to make them nice voice, their voices, because they're not with nashaz, it's something they don't like to hear it. So he beautifies it as much as you are, as much as he can. We add also, Sayyid Rashid Rida, rahimahullah, he says, we have seen so many of the Christian literatures. They used to love to listen to the Quran from the Qurra, who are good reciters. And they would confess with the strength of its affection and influence in the hearts. And that is being documented by Sayyid Rashid Rida, that he saw that some of the people who are writers from the Christians, they would like to listen to the Quran even though they don't understand it. Even some of them, they don't understand it. And also, we find in the Sahih that the kuffar, the mushrikun, they prevented Abu Bakr to pray loudly. And that is when he was migrating to Abyssinia, and Sayyid al-Qara, he met him and he said, "Where are you heading, Abu Bakr?" He said, "Verily, to a land where I could really worship Allah alone and worship Allah and practice my rituals." He says, "Someone like you should not be driven out or expelled from his homeland." For verily, and he given in the description exactly the same description of Khadija to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You're a person who entertains the guests, you're a person who helps to establish the haqq, you're a person who helps the feeble, you're a person who are good for the poor, and so on and so forth. He's giving the same description as Khadija given to the Prophet. Yet, Sayyid al-Qara is a kafir man. He never heard what Khadija said to the Prophet. So he said, "Go back, for I'm going to give you, honor you my protection." He went back to the Quraysh and he said, a man like this should not be exiled and expelled from his own land. So I'm giving him my protection and you should honor it. People of Quraysh, he said, "We'll honor your protection," even though he's not from Quraysh, this person, but because he's a chief of his tribe. But he has to fulfill the condition that he should not pray openly. He's going to pray within his own house, but not outside. So he told Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he kept praying in the house until he saw that he could pray in his, we call it in Arabic, the hush, within his garden, outside. It is in his house, within the vicinity of his house, but it's outside the four walls, basically. As soon as he done that, the women and the children of the kuffar, they were amazed with his recitation. And that's the influence of the Quran. Why? Because of the beauty of the voice. See, the Quran, it will have more effect if it's been recited with what? With the melody. And like Ibn al-Qayyim, he says the Quran is like the medicine with sweetness. You put the sweetness to take the medicine. So that sweetness is the melody. So the Quran is the medicine. Sometimes the medicine is, tough or not really digestible properly. So when you put that sweet thing, it makes it better. So that's what Ibn al-Qayyim he says. And verily, the Quran, when it's been recited with the melody, you'll find the effect is powerful. Let's hear some of the things that happened at the time of the Prophet of Allah from the effect. One of them is Umar al-Khattab, embraces Islam. The ahadith regarding the embracement of Islam of Umar, most of them are authentic, except for one narration. Umar, he says, "I went out," that's before Islam, before he embraced Islam, to hustle and produce problems with the Prophet ﷺ. So I found him already had beaten me to the masjid, and he's already in the masjid, which is the haram. I stood behind him, and he was reciting Surah Al-Haqqa. They tell you Surah Al-Haqqa is a Makkin, short verses with a rhyme. Al-Haqqa, Mal-Haqqa, wa ma adraka Mal-Haqqa. So he said, I love the way that the Quran being made, he says. So I said, by Allah, he's a poet, just like Quraysh had said. So the Prophet of Allah, while he was reciting Surah Al-Haqqa, there was a refutation verse to what he had said. إِنَّهُ لَقَوْلُ رَسُولٍ كَرِيمٍ وَمَا هُوَ بِقَوْلِ شَاعِرٍ قَلِيلًا مَا تُؤْمِنُونَ. This is the saying of a messenger from Allah. It is not the saying of a poet. Verily few would believe. So I said, must be then, this is the saying of the soothsayer, the fortune teller. So the Quran refutes that as well in Surah Al-Haqqa. وَلَا بِقَوْلِ كَاهِنٍ قَلِيلًا مَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. And it's not the saying of a soothsayer, but few would pay heed. تَنزِيلٌ مِّن رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. It is verily the revelation from the Lord of Alameen, of everyone. وَلَوْ تَقَوَّلَ عَلَيْنَا بَعْضَ الْأَقَاوِيلِ. And if they say against us any saying and attribute to us any Quran, لَأَخَذْنَا مِنْهُ بِالْيَمِينِ. Would have punished him. ثُمَّ لَقَطَعْنَا مِنْهُ الْوَتِينَ فَمَا مِنْكُمْ مِنْ أَحَدٍ عَنْهُ حَاجِزِينَ. Verily Allah Azza wa Jal, He would punish him if he do so, and if he does, and he will not, of course, the Prophet of Allah, and no one can be protector for him. He says, as soon as I heard these things, this is the first time when I had the impact of Islam into my heart. Also we find from Shaqiq, he says that Allah ibn Abbas, he had made a khutbah in the Hajj, and he had started with Surah An-Nur, and he started to recite and also to interpret, means to explain. I said to myself, Wallahi, I have never heard or never seen a saying of a man like this. If Fars, the Persians, and the Rum, the Romans, heard this, they would have embraced Islam. That is like, Persian at that time, the empire of the Persian, and the Rome Byzantine Empire. They heard about this recitation, interpretation, would have embraced Islam. Jubayr ibn Mut'im, before he embraces Islam, he says, I came to the Medina in order to discuss and negotiate regarding the captives, the prisoners of war of Badr. So he came after the Battle of Badr. He was a mushrik at that time. So he said, I entered the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, and he was praying in Salat al-Maghrib, and he recited Surah Al-Tur. Al-Tur. So when he recited, and until he reached the verse, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ أَمْ خَلَقُوا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ بَلْ لَا يُوقِنُونَ أَمْ عِنْدَهُمْ خَزَائِنُ رَبِّكَ أَمْ هُمُ الْمُسَيْطِرُونَ. As soon as you heard these verses, which is, are they being created from nothing, or they're the creators, or they have created heavens and earth, verily they have no certainty, verily have they the treasures of your Lord, or they're ones who are governors. He said, my heart almost flew from my chest. And this is the first time when Iman went into my heart. Just from the recitation of the Prophet of Allah in the prayer of the Maghrib. Abdullah ibn Abbas, he says, Al-Walid ibn Mughira, kafir man, that is a kafir, came to the Prophet ﷺ and he recited the Prophet of Allah on him Quran. So his heart almost softened to the Quran. Abu Jahl somehow knew about this. So he came to him. He said, uncle, because he's older than him, verily you people decided to go and collect money for you. He said to him, why? In order to give it to you. Because verily you came to Muhammad and to give it to Muhammad. So, because you came to Muhammad and, you're almost sort of giving in to him. He says, and he was annoyed, Quraysh knows that I am the most richest amongst them. So he said to them, then okay, say something bad regarding him, that you will dislike him. He said, what should I say? For verily by Allah, no one is more knowledgeable than the in poetry than myself. I know the poetry inside out. Even I know the poetry of the jinn. And by Allah, nothing is the same as this coming out from this person. By Allah, whatever he says, it has halawa, sweetness. And وَإِنَّ عَلَيْهِ لَطَلَاوَ, and it's glowing from outside. And لَمُثْمِرٌ أَعْلَاهُ مُغْدِقٌ أَسْفَلُ, the high of it, the top of it, is giving fruit. And also the bottom of it is also full of abundance. وَإِنَّهُ لَا يَعْلُو وَمَا يَعْلَى, and he goes up, and nothing goes up of it, on top of it. وَإِنَّهُ لَا يُحَطِّمُ مَا تَحْتَهُ, and he will crush whatever is underneath it. He says to him, verily your people will never accept what you have just said. He said, okay, let me just think. So when he thought, he said, okay, this is magic. And he takes it from other people. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he sent the following verses in Surah Al-Muddathir. ذَرْنِي وَمَنْ خَلَقْتُ وَحِيدًا, leave me, and which with one I have created on his own, which is Al-Walid al-Mughira, وَجَعَلْتُ لَهُ مَالًا مَمْدُودًا, and I give him a lot of money, وَبَنِينَ شُهُودًا, and also sons, وَمَحَّتُ لَهُمْ تَمْهِيدًا, and I have given him facilitation, ثُمَّ يَطْمَعُ أَنْ أَزِيدًا, and he wants extra. كَلَّا إِنَّهُ كَانَ لِآيَاتِنَا عَنِيدًا, verily that he was stubborn to receive and accept our verses. سأرهقه صعودا إنه فكر وقدر فقتل كيف قدر ثم قتل كيف قدر ثم نظر ثم عبس وبصر ثم أدبر واستكبر فقال إن هذا إلا سحر يؤثر. After he thought that this is magic. إن هذا إلا قول البشر. He said, this is the saying of the human being. سأصليه سقر. Allah said, you're going to put him in the hellfire. And these are verses from 11 to verse number 30 in Al-Muddathir. Right. This is from Uqba ibn Rabi'ah in the Sahih al-Sirah of Shaykh al-Albani. And the authority of Jabir ibn Abdullah, he says, Quraysh got together to the Prophet ﷺ. It's all of it to do with the beauty of the recitation of Quran in melody. They said, let's just see who is the most knowledgeable in magic, soothsaying and poetry. Let him come to this man, because Muhammad ﷺ, the one who split our group and unity. And split us and made us partisans. And he had disgraced our religion. Let him talk to him and let him see what he's going to reply. They said, well, no, we don't know anyone except for Uthbah ibn Rabi'ah. They said to him, Ya Aba al-Walid. So he came, Uthbah, and he said, Uthbah came to the Prophet ﷺ, because Quraysh chose him. He said, O Muhammad, you are better, or Abdullah, the slave of Allah? Prophet ﷺ went quiet. That is Abdullah, which is the name of the father of Muhammad. Are you better or your father better? Are you better or Abdul Muttalib? Are you better or the slave of Al-Muttalib, which is his grandfather? So the Prophet went quiet. And he said, so if you are claiming that those are better than you, that is Abdullah, your father, and your grandfather Abdul Muttalib, for verily they have worshipped the God whom you have ridiculed. And if you are claiming that you are better than them, then go on, speak out until we hear what you say. Can you somebody just switch off that thing, please? There's that noise. It's getting from my phone. It's not. Right, so if you are better than them, then speak out, so we can hear what you say. For verily by Allah, we didn't find any sheep or goat who is more pessimistic upon your people than yourself. You have split our jama'ah group, and you have made us weak, and you have ridiculed our religion, and you have made a scandal of us amongst the Arabs. And then other people, they said, Quraysh, they've got a magician amongst them, or Quraysh has got the soothsayer amongst them. So verily, we are waiting now for somebody to give the cry or the shout, and they go ahead, and we pull out swords and kill one another. For verily, O men, if you have something in need, we will gather for you, until you become the most richest amongst us, amongst Quraysh. And if you are looking for a wife, we will give you the most beautiful in Quraysh. We'll give you 10 to marry if you want. If you want him to lead, we will make sure that you are going to be the leader. Prophet of Allah said, have you finished? So Utbah, he said, his kunya as well, he said, yes. So the Prophet said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Hameen, Tanzilu min ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Surah Fussilat. Until he reached the following verse, number 13. فَإِنْ أَعْرَضُوا فَقُلْ أَنذَرْتُكُمْ صَاعِقَةً مِثْلَ صَاعِقَةِ عَادٍ وَثَمُودٍ. That if they have denied, and if they have rejected, say to them, I'm giving you the warning of the awful cry that will take place on top of those, just like the ones of Ad and Thamud. Utbah, he said, Hasbuk, enough. Don't you have anything better than this? He said, no. So he went to Quraysh. They said to him, what happened? Well, verily, he said, I've left nothing that you want me to say to him that I've said it. Did he answer you? He said, yes. And he said, by the one who had made this, I didn't understand anything from what he had said, except when he said, أَنذَرْتُكُمْ صَاعِقَةً مِثْلَ صَاعِقَةِ عَادٍ وَثَمُودٍ. I'm giving you the warning, the awful cry will be sent to you just like it was sent on the people of Ad and on the people of Thamud. He said to him, woe to you. The man is speaking to you in Arabic and you don't know what he's saying? He said, no, by Allah, I haven't understood except what you have just told me from that sa'iqah, the awful cry. And this is in Musannaf ibn Abi Shaybah, and it is authentic. There's another narration, and it's got extra bits. He said, when he said that verse, فَإِنْ أَعْرَضُوا, if they rejected and denied, say to them, I have given you the warning of the awful cry, just like the awful cry was sent against Ad and Thamud. Utbah, he said, I have held his mouth, and I have beseeched him by his kinship. I have begged him to stop. So he stopped. So Abu Jahl, he said, by Allah, O Quraysh, we see that Utbah, he had made sabah. It means he's just now come on the side of Muhammad, and he likes the words that came from that man. Let's just go to him and talk to him. So they came to him. Abu Jahl said, by Allah, O Utbah, we came to you because we think that you are affected by the words of Muhammad. So if you are in need of something, we will give you some money. Now they're offering money to the one who has sent to Muhammad. We'll give you until you are satisfied, you don't need Muhammad. So he was so angry. And he made an oath that he will not speak to Muhammad whatsoever. Then he said that you know that I am one of the richest people amongst you. And then he had told him what happened between him and the Prophet of Allah, Muhammad. And then he said, Wallahi, it was not magic, it was not poetry, it was not soothsaying. He had recited and he had told him what are the verses in Surah Fussilat. So when he reached that verse, if they have denied and rejected, give them the warning of the awful cry that will be sent to them, just like the one that is sent to Ad and Thamud. So I held his mouth and I beseeched him by the relatives in the kinship and the womb that he would stop. And you know that Muhammad, if he says something, he does not lie. So I was scared that the punishment would become on top of it. I know. Then you know, it was the haq. I was scared that the punishment, the severe torment, will come on top of you. Those people, they know the haq. Abu Sufyan, before he embraced Islam, when the Prophet ﷺ was in that valley for 3 years, he was having a blockade, siege. And the Prophet of Allah, he made a supplication. Oh Lord, help me against the people of Quraysh with 7 years, like the years of Yusuf alayhi salam. First year had passed. Quraysh couldn't find anything to eat except for the sand and the dead animals and the skin of the animals. So Abu Sufyan, before he embraces Islam, he comes to the Prophet of Allah and he beseeches him that you have relatives and you call yourself, you are a mercy of a mercy gift to mankind. Let's look at that words of Abu Sufyan. You calling yourself your mercy gift, you are rahmah. How can you have rahmah and we should really ask your Lord. He's asking your Lord, that means why don't you believe in his Lord then? Subhanallah. You should not make a request from your Lord to make the drought. So the Prophet ﷺ, sort of accepting what Abu Sufyan said, and he said to call off the drought from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the people of Quraysh, they already knew. It is only the arrogance, just like Iblis. He knew what is the haqq, but he didn't want to what? Prostrate. Why? Because of the pride. The pride is disbelief, by the way. If your pride prevents you from believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's called disbelief. Alhamdulillah that we have, I would say, finished everything that I wanted to talk about tonight about the recitation of beauty. So we go now to its following title, which is Al-Fathu ala al-Imam.
Page 41, correcting the Imam. He sallallahu alayhi wasallam set the example of correcting the Imam when his recitation becomes mixed up. When once he sallallahu alayhi wasallam prayed, reciting loudly, and his recitation became mixed up. So when he finished, he sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to Ubay radiallahu anhu, "Did you pray with us?" He radiallahu anhu replied, "Yes." And then he sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "So what prevented you from correcting me?"
Right. Now this is Al-Fathu ala al-Imam, even though it is about 3-4 lines, but actually if you want to explain it, is more than that. It is a knowledge in itself, to correct on the Imam. This starts with number one, that the Imam, if he's going to make correction to the Imam, number one, we understand that the Imam should not be holding a Quran. How can you correct somebody who's leading you with the Quran? He's leading from the Quran. So this is just a start to say that the Imam should not be what? Reciting from what? From the Quran, from what? On the monitors. The new era these days. Monitor with a watch in the Imams, and he just, touch that watch, clicks it. I've seen it. And the page turns in front of him. And I actually recorded that on my video to show that it's a big screen in front of it's about twice the size of my laptop. And in front of the Imam. Even some of them are half of Imam, but because they're lazy now, they don't want to revise, they read from those pages. So you click, and that page he would show him 2 pages of the Quran, 2 pages, and he will skip. So this is used in Taraweeh. So I say to him, okay, so is this electrical sort of support? Yes, yeah, electric. So what about the electric cuts off? He said it's got a battery backup. So what about the battery was not charged? He said, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. I remember what he said. That means, go back to the surah that you know. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ makes Qur'an. You would not really continue because most of them, they don't really recite from their memories. So this title means that the Imam should not be reciting from them. And some of the people, they use that slave Aisha that used to lead them from the Mus'haf. Okay, lead the wives of the Prophet ﷺ from the Mus'haf. Number one, we say, we are people of justice. We're not people like those people who are deviated, will hide the authentic ones that would be against us, or bring the ones which are to back us up. This narration is authentic. But we have to use it in exactly the same frame as being used. Number one, that man did not lead in the masjid. He led in the house. Number two, his leading to the wife, Aisha, it doesn't make it correct. Because we know a number of things that the companions have done, okay, that they themselves were wrong in it. There was no consensus. Number three, the one who led them is not a companion anyway. So, Abdullah ibn Khattab, when he had made the leaders of the Imamah of the Salah, he had chosen the Huffaz, and he told them how many to recite from the Quran according to their speed of recitation. So the one who is slow, he will recite 10 verses. The one who is medium, 20 verses. The one who is fast, will recite 30 verses. Of course, 30 verses depending upon how long is the verse. Let's say first one, the slow one will recite 1 page. The one who recite middle will recite 2 pages. The one who is fast will recite 3 pages. Like that. He says that the Prophet of Allah made it permissible to correct the Imam. Here the correction of the Imam is when the recitation is wrong. But there is another type of correction to the Imam, which is when the Imam goes to a different hay'ah in the salah. Instead of going to the ruku', he went to the sujood. Instead of saying Sami Allahu liman hamid, he said Allahu Akbar. Instead of making tashahhud, he went up. Yeah? Those are the things. So the person in that case, he needs to say Subhanallah. Subhanallah in order to correct the Imam. As for the women, they are praying behind and they are able to make it audible for the Imam to hear him, then they will make tapping. That tapping means that something wrong. But that does not mean the woman's voice is to be awra. That's absolutely nonsense, because Aisha never stopped answering the men whenever they come to her to ask her regarding the deen. But this is in the salah that Prophet of Allah made the women to make tasfiq. As for the men to say subhanallah. But subhanallah, this is not for correction of the what? The Quran recitation. Quran recitation, you have to help the Imam. And this is a science by itself. Before we start, as an Imam, I need to make sure the ones who's behind me, he is a person who is a qari, person who knows how to correct. So when the Prophet said, لِيَلِيَنِي مِنْكُمْ أُولُو النُّهَى, that the ones who are prudent and sedate be behind me. He didn't say, لَا لِيَلِيَنِي مِنْكُمْ the qurra, not the reciters. The ones who are prudent and sedate. Because you could be a qari, but you're going to mess up your recitation. Because you're going to be not doing you help, actually. He has to be not just a qari. This is already a condition which is, we know about it, but we need to make sure that this person, he knows what he's doing. He's calm. He takes the wise decision. He knows where and when to make the correction. Because as I said, he could be more of a problem to the Imam. He will add up to the confusion. So he's need to be trained how to correct on the Imam. He's to be there as well if the Imam something happened to him. His wudu is finished. If the people behind the Imam, they don't really know what they're doing, if the Imam lost his wudu, he might go, okay, and nobody would come out to lead. Even if he pulls somebody to lead, if that person doesn't know what you're doing, he will not really go. And this has happened. And Imam, something that happened to him, he tells me. So he wants to go to he pulled the one behind, he said, let go. The person will said, let go. He's an old man, said, let go. So he pulled the other one to lead the prayer because he doesn't understand. He's jahili. He said, let go. See. The people as well who do not really understand when the Imam is in need of help, the Imam, he will start repeating sometimes the verse. Okay? Just to make sure that the person is behind that, I'm stuck, can you just give me a push? This happened in our masjid just about 3 days ago, in the Jumu'ah, where the Imam was reciting Surah Al-Sajdah. I was behind the Imam, but before he started Takbiratul Ihram, something happened to my stomach. I went to the toilet, which is upstairs. I can't hear what happened, but the Imam told me yesterday. He said, I started reciting, and I can't remember the verse that he had reached to. And he said, I stuck, and I made mutashabih for another surah. Every time I jump to the other surah, then I go back. I made it 3 times, and I thought that you are behind me, to correct me. So anyway, then he decided to finish with that verse, and go. And he did not finish the Surah Al-Sajdah. Now this is what happened to the Imam who had repeated the verse where the people behind him are ignorant. He started to repeat the verse. One old man from the side of the row, from the right or left, I can't remember, from the side of the row, he said this word. Now, I wasn't there, but the person who told me that he was there, he said, "Oh, sludge!" In Arabic, come on, push it. Push yourself. You know, in Arabic, everybody just burst into laugh in the prayer. "Oh, sludge, come on." You're going to start to that verse? Push, give him a push. You're like pushing a car. "Oh, sludge." And listen, the dialect of those people at that time, and they're very fun. That's what happens when you are ignorant, have ignorant people behind. This person behind you, he needs to know that if you have made a mistake in the verse, he's not supposed to correct until he sees that that Imam is going to go to another verse. So if he, for example, made a mistake in the middle of the verse, wait for him. He might realize at the end of the verse and he will repeat it again. But when he starts another verse, then when you repeat the verse before, and you don't repeat the mistake, you repeat the verse from the beginning. That's how to make it easy to the Imam. Because when you repeat the word, the Imam maybe is not really that much hassle. He will be confused. Which verse are you talking about? Repeat the verse and he will kick in. Because the Imam, when you give him to the verse, the beginning of the verse, he will be much more in control of what is recited. So let's give you a surah which you know. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. This is a small surah. I'm reciting it with no tajweed rules. So this Imam is saying, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ. He said, يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ. He didn't say لَمْ يَلِدْ. He said يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ. Now when he says يَلِدْ, some people just لَمْ. And the Imam is stuck. What is that? Lam. No. He would say yalid wa lam yulad. And then you stop here. And then you tell him lam yalid wa lam yulad. You tell him like that. After he has to have a time because he is now constantly. He will not hear somebody over his voice. It's going to be difficult. And especially in the long verses. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم نزل عليك الكتاب بالحق مصدقا لما بين يديه. Surah Al-Imam. This person made نزل عليك الكتاب مصدقا لما, not بالحق. You put the word بالحق. So you have to wait for him until he finishes the verse and then you recite it from the beginning. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. He will repeat. If he made the same mistake, he said كتابا, didn't say بالحق مصدقا لما بين يديه. You say the word كتابا مصدقا أنزل الكتاب بالحق أنزل الكتاب بالحق مصدقا لما بين يديه. That's how you make it easy for the Imam. But don't you scare the Imam. Once, I've never had this person, it's a newcomer to the masjid, and I was reciting, and I can't remember, I made a mistake, I subtracted a word or added a word, I can't remember. And this person had, from behind me, I was really, I shook. It's like somebody shot me with a gun. I don't know what's happened. So I didn't know what he said. So I stopped waiting for him to tell me, well, what is that? What is that bullet he told me? What is that bullet he shot me with? I want to know what is that? I couldn't know. I really stopped. I even forgot the verses. I'm going to recite because so I waited. 3-4 seconds, a long wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this person is not saying anything. I had repeated the whole surah from the beginning. There was a person in a well-known masjid, lots of people there, because of the mutashabih of the Quran. This person, I don't know if you know him or if you heard him or not, he is making the Imam to recite. He was reciting and he's hafid, mashallah, but he is repeating him or referring him to a mutashabih, the same. And the Imam goes back and recites it. And this person is stopping him, reversing him back into another surah. I don't know, have anybody heard this before? Right, subhanAllah, I can't remember the surah. I can't remember, it's a long time ago. But I will hold each other after the class. I will look for it because for you, you will be amazed. You will be amazed how daring is that man. 4 or 5 times. And then what the Imam did? He couldn't continue after that. He just said the verse and he went ruku'. Khalas. Second rak'ah, he repeated again. And this man is at it. He's not letting go. He thought the Imam, this man comes to terms and he knows what he's talking about, what verse or surah, but he's at it. I don't know what the Imam did to him after the prayer. If the Imam did not do anything, the people would do something to him. Right. So this is a knowledge in itself. Number 3. He was, the Prophet of Allah, saying to Ubay, Ubay, where is he praying now? First row. Because he said, وَلَمَّا قُلْتُ أَصَلَيْتَ مَعَنَا, you were praying behind us. So if you are far away from the Imam, don't correct, because I can't hear you. You have to be in a place. So if you are not behind the Imam, let the people behind the Imam, they want to what? To correct. You know what happens if the Imam made a wrong recitation in a surah that everybody knows it? Allah al-Musta'an. Everybody corrects now. Everybody corrects. This boy who had just graduated and mashallah we taught him to make a khutbah and he's making a khutbah in our masjid. MashaAllah, khutbah was astounding. For the first time. He wants to lead the prayers. The first time he's going to lead a lot of people in the masjid. It's a masjid, big masjid, wise. He's leading. He reads the Fatiha. Behind him, about a bunch of ignorant. One of them or two are reverts. The Imam's supposed to be, when he sees a bunch of ignorant, to see somebody recite, pull him, and even if that person to go back. Sorry, it's not your place. This is the place of somebody who knows Quran, not you. So he did not do that. So reverts, 2 or 3, and other people are ignorant. I can't remember the surah. Yes, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. This surah is small, but it's confusing as well because of the repetition of the verses. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. He made a mistake in it. The ignorant didn't know it was a mistake, but they knew now that he's done a mistake. They don't know which is the mistake. But they know there's a mistake because they're repeating it. And we say in Arabic, if the camel is down, lots of people will start slaughtering. Do you understand that? When the camel is a strong camel, but when they see the camel is down, everybody will slaughter. Before, no one's scared. So when he's reciting, but when they know that he's hesitating, so one says, Ya ayyuhal kafirun. I was there, I was listening. And I was really behind, I was going to come all the way from the back and punch these people, wallahi. The guy didn't know what to do. Then the second rak'ah, he makes a mistake in the Fatiha. Because he was, do you understand me, under the pressure. And these reverts, Rabbil Alameen. Of course I told them off after the prayer. Because I know that which one is which. Who told you to correct brother? You can't even read the Fatiha properly. Keep it yourself. This person made a mistake because of you. He couldn't do anything. He was so scared. First time for him to lead the prayer. I don't think it's going to be the second time they will lead. The last time maybe. Khalas. That's what happened. We say, when somebody makes a mistake, everybody will hammer him. You're not allowed to say anything. Let the people behind. In Taraweeh, we make these people say, don't make it another. No one is to correct. It's only the one behind. Khalas. Everybody will not come. Some people from the first, 5th row start correct. La ilaha. La ilaha. Who's correct? You think they're making jihad from them? La ilaha illallah. Allahu Akbar. You think the Imam is going to hear you? Too far. And there is showing off in this. Some of the people, they want to show off. Do you know what this means? That he's half. So even if he was about the last row, no way, he would just say, Alhamdulillah, for example, a mistake. Who can hear you, brother? So you want the people beside to hear you that you are half? Be careful, yeah. Be careful in your prayer. If you made a mistake, nobody corrected, come to the Imam and tell him, by the way, this is a mistake that you have done. It's good between you and him, because some of the imams, I'm telling you, they would memorize sometimes the verse wrongly. They keep saying it wrongly until it's been memorized wrongly. Do you understand that? One of them, I can't remember which verse, in Surah Al-Anbiya. One of the brothers corrected him when he saw when I was with him. He said, are you sure? He went to see Surah Al-Anbiya, he was like, are you sure? Allah Musta'an. He didn't know it was like this. I can't remember. This is talking about 20 years back in the time, more than that. So he said, I couldn't believe it. That means he's memorized, he was brainwashing himself. While memorizing it, wrong. That's why you need to present your memorization to somebody else. Because you could be memorizing wrongly. Some of the fatha or the dhamma or the ayah or whatever. You could be adding something and you're brainwashing yourself. Right. After this, the fatha of the imam, we say to the person who is making the fatha, make it nicely and audibly and slowly. And make it slowly. So we said to make it from the beginning of the verse, but slowly. So the imam. Let's say the imam did not accept your correction. What are you going to do now? Can you repeat it again? No. He just did it and he couldn't do it. Now for the imam himself, he should stop on what he's sure and there is no mistakes, and leave the one which has got a mistake. He might remember it in the second rak'ah, he might not do it anyway, but he has done his best. Because every person, the Prophet of Allah, was being given the Quran, whom Allah Azza wa Jalla said, you don't have لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به. Don't move your tongue too quickly to even don't you memorize it. إن علينا جمعه وقرآن. Upon us we're going to give you that. Input, output, that's it. Yet the Prophet of Allah forgot. Allah chipped the Quran to his heart. Yet he forgot, because he's made of what? Of Adam. And Adam made to forget. The Prophet of Allah, he forgot, and also to teach us that there is somebody to correct. He forgot. And this is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And listen here. Who told him that he made a mistake? He himself. Nobody told him. Do you understand me? So he knows. So he said, wait, I made a mistake. Why didn't you correct me? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right. Okay. Here we go to the following title, and this is the last one. Before the record.
Seeking refuge and spitting lightly during prayer in order to repel temptation. Uthman bin Abil As radiallahu anhu said to him, O Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the devil comes between me and my prayer and confuses me in my recitation. So the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that that is the devil called khinzab. So when you detect him, seek refuge with Allah from him and spit lightly on your left 3 times. He said, so when I did that, Allah caused him to go away from me. There's a short note on this.
Go
on. Nawawi rahimahullah says this hadith contains a recommendation to seek refuge from the devil when he tempts, along with spitting to the left 3 times.
Right. Al-isti'adha, seeking refuge. And here is not the isti'adha before the recitation, which is أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم من همزه ونفخه ونفثه. That is what we do with what? For seeking refuge in Allah when we do the recitation. This is a different one. This is the isti'adha to something else. This is not the isti'adha at the beginning of what? Of the Quran. That's number 1. Number 2 is that at-tafl. In Arabic we have naf, tafl, basq. In English you have translation spitting, spitting, spitting. All of us spitting. You don't have differentiation. In Arabic we do. And naf, no saliva. So we have naf. And we have tafl, which is a bit of what? Saliva goes with it. It's called tafl. And we have the basq, with a spittle, with a, okay? That's, so in English you don't have that, do you? Spitting, spitting, spitting. So I said spitting, spitting. Okay, it's all about spitting. But in Arabic, no, we do have differentiation. So a tafl here is the one which is in the middle. It's not air, nafkh. It is not tafl. It is not nafkh. It is actual tafl with a bit of saliva. He says here on your left. On the left, it could be like this. That's your left. And it could be as long as it is between your middle head and your left, that's all of it left. So that's left, 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 left. It's all of it left. Right. Now, Prophet of Allah always, he says to make the spittle downwards. You don't do it with somebody. So you make it what? Down. So that is in the prayer. I have, with my concentration of my eyes, onto that prostration spot, or in the ruku, or whatever. I am down. My left is like this. That's it. Just slight turn from the middle to the left. That's my left. And so when I do this, I don't annoy the person who's next to me. Even the person next to me, he would not even notice it. So I haven't even made anything that is would, because I don't want to be khinzat for the guy. And the one who's next to me is going to be, oh, he disturbed me as well. On his left as well. Another one on his left. So the whole roll is on his left. Might happen, true or not. So that is a small, so now I have seen, wallah, with my own eyes. I was in the third or fourth row. And this person is in front of me, the second row. I was in one of the masajid. Salafi masjid, mashallah. And this guy is massive, tall. We could see him from the row, sticking out. And he did like this. Wallah. I can't forget it. And shall I laugh? Shall I hold myself? What happened to that guy? What is this? You know, that guy next to him. I think he's scared. Maybe he's too tall for him. Wallah. Allah understand. That's when you read, you don't really understand. Also, he says Shaytan khinzar. Is this a type of Shaytan, or is just one Shaytan? Did you understand me? Because we know that lots of people pray at the same time. So what is this khinzar? Is a supersonic person, a Superman? Goes to everybody, or we have lots of khinzar. Do you understand what I'm talking about? So it's a particular Shaytan, it's called khinzar. Allahu A'lam. But we submit to the Prophet who said khinzar. Khinzar is specialized in the area of salah. There is one who's called, they call him walham, specialized in the area of the backside. He's not authentic. Walham, he just pulls the hair of the backside to think that you have past wind. Okay, specialized in that area. But there is shayateen in that area. So, but walham, we don't have the authenticity of that. But we do have khinzar, it's hadith sahih. So, we seek refuge. When we say isti'ara, always isti'ara. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم من همزه ونفخه ونفثه. Always. Full one, أعوذ بالله السميع العليم to the end. That's isti'ara. But this is different from the isti'ara for the recitation. The recitation, isti'ara is at the beginning of every rak'ah. He says, Allah will make this go away from you. Now, he says here, Messenger of Allah, this shaitan prevented me from concentrating on my prayer and my recitation. That means this person is always concentrating in what? In his recitation, his prayer. But there are people, they are in everything except for the recitation. They are somewhere else. So one person, an Imam, it's a true story, Imam, in one of the local masjids in our country, he's actually the Grand Mufti. So he led the prayer, and he made a mistake. And there was two, and then they asked up behind him, he said, why did you correct my mistake? So one of them, he said, I didn't memorize. And the other one, he said, in Arabic, كنت بسلافة ثانية. He said, I was in a different world. I was in a different world. That means he doesn't know what he's doing. He was not really concentrating on what recitation was. Some of the people, and even if the Imam recited, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٍ, if you ask him, what did he recite, the Imam? He would struggle to say to you, what did he recite? the busyness of this life. Allahumma la taj'al ad-dunya akbar hammina. Very important to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the dunya is not our what? Biggest thing that we look for. Always dunya, dunya, dunya. Right. We stop here inshallah and we have your questions. That's too much. This is really good. MashaAllah.
If you're with the Imam, you need to leave and you don't see the person behind you who's preparing the recitation. Can you say something? Is so and so there? Please leave or
If the Imam, a person, the Imam, he had who had something to do with your, it was wudu, was invalid, or you want to invalidate it, whatever, you want to lead the prayer, and you can't see the person who's behind to lead, can you call upon a person? We don't recommend that. Yes, when you left the prayer, you are not in the prayer. But there are situations where you leave the prayer, you're still in the prayer, because you want to continue. Remember, when the person is the Imam, and let's say that he remembered he was not on wudu. Okay? So he has one of the three options. Option one, which is the one that everybody does. He would leave the prayer, cut off his prayer completely, and he would drag someone to come instead of him. In that case, if the brother is asking, can he, if he didn't find a person, to call upon him? No, but he could look, and he would just say to that person, he comes to him, lead the prayer. No problem. Talk to him. Because you are not in the prayer anymore. That's option one, which is the easiest one that everybody does. So he goes to the wudu, the Imam, and then after that, he will come back and he will join the beginning of his prayer. Whatever is prayed is not counted. Second option, which can be imagined, that is if the wudu place is not far away, is that to leave the prayer, but you can't talk in this incident because you're still in a prayer. And you make somebody to pull in your hand to go and leave the prayer, but you can't talk. And you yourself go to the wudu, and you don't talk because you're in a prayer. You make wudu, and then when you come to the prayer, you build upon what you have prayed already. So whatever you prayed is counted. So you finish rak'ah, and you caught up with the Imam, you caught up with, and second rak'ah goes. Do you understand that? So whatever you prayed is counted. Even if you had no wudu, because you didn't know. Third option, which is the impossible option, can't do it these days. What the Prophet had done is to point to the people, stay put. You go to make the wudu and expect the people to wait for you, which is not going to be. Then you finish the wudu and leave the prayer. On the wudu, it's not far away. So the people are going to stay in there like this and waiting. That's, as I said, impossible option because the people are not trained. People say, what is happening here? Get on with it. So in the first case, yes, it's allowed to talk. Understood now the three options? No. Go on.
There's one clarification you said, based on the spiritual, the STR is not the same as the one in the beginning of the outcome. So I don't understand in which way is it not the same.
It is. I'm saying this isti'adah that the Imam al-Albani bringing it is not the isti'adah that is talking about when you recite the Quran. It is isti'adah linked to a shaitan coming to you. It doesn't mean that it's a different version of isti'adah. But here when it says the word isti'adah comes to your mind, what is it? Quran. But this is not the isti'adah of the Quran. Because we talked about the isti'adah in the Quran in the beginning. It's isti'adah for shaitan. Regardless where it comes to you. In the middle of the prayer, in the ruku, in the sujood, in the qira'at. Nah. Follow.
Regarding correcting the Imam, what's the ruling on
Correcting the Imam. What is it ruling? Fard or not fard? It is fard kifaya. Collective obligation. Because the Prophet of Allah said, why don't you remind me or obey? He's the Sheikh of the Qur'an. Why don't you remind me, Ya Ubayd? And 45, that means if a person that can be doing it, then alhamdulillah, nobody will be sin. If there's nobody to do it, and people are able to recite the Quran, then everybody will be sinned. You should be memorizing, you should be making sure that you memorize the Quran. And you should be as well, always behind the Imam, somebody to be, not just to correct, to make sure that there is a substitute. One day, I was leading the prayer. The Imam, second Imam was behind me. First rak'ah. I remembered I didn't have wudu. So I left. I didn't have to pull him because he's behind me. I said to him, just when I left, lead. Just the word lead, didn't pull him. He came to lead. Finished the first rak'ah, he's in the second rak'ah. I finished my wudu. I went to the toilet, alhamdulillah. And I joined now the second rak'ah, but I'm in the first rak'ah. I'm starting from the beginning. It was Asr prayer. And I joined in because the row, it was like actually one row. I joined really on the extreme right, far away from the Imam. While he was reciting the second rak'ah, he leaves. The Imam himself, the second one, he leaves. So I go instead of him. Shh. And I start leading now. Now I'm leading what? And then I what? I'm in the first and they're in the second now. He left. Now in my first rak'ah, I finished and get out. For them it's what? Zakah. They stood up, of course. They don't know what to do. They are really confused now. And they're not going to say to me, subhanallah. Do you know why? Because they know, they've seen it. That for me is the first rak'ah. Now I'm going to do my fourth rak'ah, which is what? The fifth rak'ah. That's when somebody stood up and somebody what? Sat down and waited. And after the prayer, I said, Salaam alaikum. And they broke into laughing. Shh. Everybody's laughing. What did you eat, Imams, both of you? What did you have for food? What did you? That's a joke. Now they want to see what is one is correct. I said both of you are correct. Each one has a support. To support him to do what they have done. The ones who waited for me and the ones who followed me. But if I'm inclined to do which one is opinion, I would say the ones who followed me. The ones who followed me, then imagine somebody comes in, finds the Imam in the fifth rak'ah on his own, which is in the fourth rak'ah of his, and everybody's sitting. What type of prayer is going to think it is? The person who doesn't know what's happening. You find the people waiting in the tashahhud, and the Imam is what? On his own. Allahu Akbar ruku', and nobody's paying attention to him. Huh? They're waiting for it to finish. Sami Allah liman hamid, they're not even bothered about him. Allahu Akbar sujood, they're not making sujood. They're waiting for him. So what type of prayer is this? So following the Imam is more closer to the haqq than the one who sat down. Wallahu a'lam. Follow. من همزه ونفخه ونفخه. You gotta change it now. If you brought up to say أعوذ بالله الرجيم, say أعوذ بالله الشيطان الرجيم من همزه ونفخه. Just add these things. Don't worry about what happened before. From now. I'm coming to this side, come to this side. Follow.
Actually, I have a two-part question. You mentioned it's part of the thing. You mentioned the etiquette of how a sister should correct the Imam. What's the ruling if she's led by a mahram, there is only mahrams there? And likewise, if
Okay, listen to me.
is leading,
The girls who are the women behind the Imam, whether it's a mahram or a mahram, what it is to do, ruku' or sujood mistake, you understand me now? What it's to do with Quran recitation, they will correct in the recitation. But because they are behind the men, their correction is going to be heard. It's impossible. Too far away. But if you're talking about you and your wife, you and your sister is behind you, yeah, they can correct you. The mother, the wife, the sister, you can correct in the Quran. Because they are behind you. No problem, inshallah. Now, follow.
The one who is in effective position to correct the Imam, is it effective prayer if he does the phasing of prayer?
I'll tell you what. If the person knows what I just said to him, he should not be corrected if he's far away from the Imam. When you said to me the third row, if he's in the middle, it's not far away. He'll be far, the row is big, and he's at the ends of the rows. So some people that comes to them automatically have to understand that the Imam should not be as well aggressive towards his people. Some people, it's just like with the recitation. If the mistake happens, he triggers to say the correction. He doesn't want to show off. Not everybody shows off. So that person who scared me off, I know that he doesn't want to show off. But he's like, he mashallah, have a very good, do. So he's on his own. Wallahi, I didn't know what he said. Wallah, until now, didn't know what he corrected me. But after the prayer, I told him, I didn't understand what you said. Correct me next time. So easy. You scared me off. And then every time I pray, I don't put him behind me, on the edges. Wallahi, far away. Because he scares me. He doesn't let me to breathe. I might make a mistake and realize the mistake and I will do it, but this guy doesn't let me. Tafadhal. In Hamzihi, one of them.
Do we need a semi-alim?
No, you don't need it. Now,
When you're starting reciting surah from the middle, what's the ruling of saying Bismillah? Whether reciting in the salah or outside salah?
saying Bismillah, Bismillah, according to the correct opinion, is only to be said at the beginning of the surah. That's it. In the middle of the surah, it will be isti'ala. Okay, that's the correct opinion. By the way, A'udhu Billahi As-Sami' Al-Alim is the addition, as I said. Isti'ala is A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem, Hamzi. But the full one is, what is that, Shaytan? Say it. Excellent. Now let me just, while I'm talking to you and you come. What was the last question, please? Fatah. Fatah ala al-Imam. الصلاة. أيوة, this is the one. Because there's a mutashabih between Surah Hud and Surah Yunus. Imam is just, he's very patient. This second rak'ah. Yes.
Allah.
I can see from the door of the Imam, you see. Now he thinks that man, now he knows what he's talking is a stubborn man, basically. And he doesn't know that أَمْ يَقُولُونَ افترى, there's about 5 verses starts with this. That means he's got to do that to what he knows. And the Imam is correct, 100%. And what I just said, in that even after he finished the Fatiha, he said to him, go back to what I said to you. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت